Ryan McGee joining us. How's the week been for you?
It's been good. I was telling someone earlier, if I'm being 100% honest, I wasn't really ready yesterday, like Monday. I was on the beach like 3 days ago, and so I had to get my mind right. But today I'm kind of in it now. Today was a full day. You know, we hit it early. We're still at it. You know, getting close to the end of the day. And so yeah, I'm there. I'm ready to go. And we had some heavy hitters rolling through here today, so it was good. The old dudes, the old crusties were coming through today, which is good.
What got you started into NASCAR?
So I get accused of talking about my dad too much.
Yeah.
You know, I co-wrote a book with him a couple years ago, but he's the reason. I mean, listen, I was born in Rockingham, North Carolina. I will be buried in Rockingham, North Carolina. I know exactly where it is. I drove past the racetrack just a couple days ago. Still own my grandmother's house. And so you can't be from Rockingham. And literally, the week I was born, David Pearson won a few miles up the road at the Rockingham Speedway. So, I mean, you can't not, love it growing up there. I was a Richard Petty guy. When I was a kid, my dad was actually in the Army with a guy named Dave Marcus, Dave raced in NASCAR forever. He was an independent guy. He was never great, won a couple races. But Dave and Dad were scrubbing toilets like at Fort Bragg. And Dave was from Wisconsin and said, hey, I'm a race car driver, and when I come down, you're from Rockingham, when I come down to race at Rockingham, I'll pay you a little money to be a pit crew guy. My dad's like, okay, whatever, Wisconsin race car driver. A couple years later, the phone rang. And so Dad was a gas can man, as a pit crew guy when I was a kid. Yeah. And so but again, growing up in the Carolinas, particularly in the 80s, there's no way you couldn't love. I mean, Dale Earnhardt and Richard Petty. I hated Dale Earnhardt. Richard Petty was my man. And so, yeah, so that's how. And then when I went to ESPN right out of college, right out of Tennessee, I went up there I wanted to work on college football and baseball. And I was the only Southerner in the company. I mean, this is in the 90s. And so the company was really small then. And it was me and Stu Scott, who was from Greensboro but claimed he was from Brooklyn. and Reese Davis, who was from Reese Davis was from Muscle Shoals, but had gotten rid of his accent at that point. Yeah. And so I was the only one with a Southern accent. And so Jeff Gordon started winning right when I got to ESPN, and they were like, well, hey, NASCAR's a big deal. You're from North Carolina. You know a lot about NASCAR. I was like, yeah. I didn't know as much as they thought I did. I call all my buddies and like, send me all those catalogs and magazines and whatever else. But, yeah, I tell Jeff Gordon all the time I owe him everything. So, yeah, but I love it. And obviously my dream was to eventually work college football. And eventually I Jedi mind tricked him into, sending me to football games.
We just had a sit down with David Cutcliffe.
Oh, the man.
Yeah.
Cut was – so when I worked for the football team at Tennessee as a student, I was on the video crew.
What year was that?
That was in the early 90s. So I was there with Heath Schuler. And Cut was quarterback's coach. And so I was there for the coup. I'm a majors guy. I'll always be a majors guy. Don't even get me started on Fulmer.
Yeah.
But every day at practice for 3 years, I was on the offensive tower that overlooked. I was on the tower overlooking the offensive field, and it was Coach Majors was up there with me. It was me, Coach Majors, and the guy, the head student equipment guy. And the three of us were up on the. So every day I shot Cut's offense for practice. I shot one-on-one drills and everything else. And it was, you talk about a master class, man. When I was on the video crew at Tennessee, we had Larry Lacewell.
Oh yeah.
We had David Cutcliffe.
You know Larry's nickname, right?
Yeah.
You know who named him? It's my dad.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, because he was at Alabama as a student coach.
Yeah.
Lowell.
Yeah, Lowell.
Hey, so I was telling the Arkansas guys earlier today, and they were talking about Coach Majors, and I said, yeah, Coach told me a lot of stories about when he was at Arkansas under Frank Broyles, and I said, I can't tell you any of them. I promised Coach even after he passed I wouldn't share any of them. But you talk about a master class, man. I mean, Fulmer was offensive coordinator. Chavis was a linebackers coach. I mean, these are the guys I watched every day, and just the All-Americans. I mean, I watched Dale Carter and Carl Pickens go head-to-head in practice every single day for 2 years. I mean, it was an amazing time.
No matter what happens, Larry Lacewell will not get the credit. You think about everywhere he was when they won a national championship.
Yep. And I had him 1 year. He was there. He was coordinator for 1 year, like my sophomore year, and then he went on. He went to work
he was
for
at
Jerry
Oklahoma.
Jones. Yeah. But it was, man, you talk about having fun. Most fun anybody ever. I think I made $2.50 an hour. Oh yeah, and put my life in jeopardy every day up on that tower, man. Thunderstorms coming. I don't want to get yelled at.
Coach Majors got such a kick. He came on pretty frequently with us.
Yeah.
Of the Tennessee River going into Alabama.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Now, one of how amazing is it, though, that Coach Majors died sitting on that back deck looking at the river with a drink in his hand? I mean, I can't wait to see him again and go, that's exactly how you would have picked it. I mean,
exactly.
But I wrote, when he passed, I wrote the column. He's my coach. Everybody's got a guy. I played a little bit of football when I was a kid. I didn't play college or high school ball. But everybody's got that guy in their life. That my dad, to this day, his high school baseball coach is Coach, and Coach Usler. And so for me, my coach was Coach Majors.
So, our Muscle Shoals buddy, how did he get rid of his? I
don't know. I have no idea. Amanda, do you know how Reese Davis got rid of his accent? He did. I don't know. So apparently, there used to be a video of, like, when he was a student at Alabama. He went to Alabama when he was a student at Alabama.
He graduated with in my class.
Yeah, well, there used to be a video, like some local TV station has shot, like interviewing students on campus or whatever, and apparently back then that video has mysteriously disappeared.
Well, we need to find that video.
Y'all look for that. So when I was a student at Tennessee was when they played the inaugural SEC championship game.
Right.
And it was Florida and Alabama. And, I'm in Tennessee. I'm at Tennessee in the early 90s. I remember they interviewed a bunch of students on campus, and they asked me a question. I've used this line ever since. They said, well, Ryan McGee, I'm a junior. Well, who are you rooting for tonight? In the Florida, Alabama SEC. I said, I'm rooting for a meteor strike. I'm rooting for a sewer line break. Yeah, and I use that line ever since. Yeah, but man, what a time though! When I saw Cut out in the parking lot, and I used to go see him at Duke all the time. I live in Charlotte, and that I tell him, we say all the time, everybody thinks that their era was the best, right? And everybody thinks that their good old days are the best of the good old days. But man, ours were pretty good, man. When I was in school there.
And that's 30 years this year.
Hey, shh. So, I don't have a lot of gray hair, and I don't have a lot of gray hair, and I still have my hair. And so, my coworkers don't know how old I am, and so I'll start telling these stories about Johnny Majors and and Heath Schuler and all this. I saw Schuler and Charlotte the other day when we were having this conversation. I said, you start having these conversations. I said, and you look around and like Laura Rutledge and all these youngins are looking at me like, how old are you? And I'm like, oh, how old do you think I am? I'm not answering that question.
So what is Heath Schuler doing?
He's a lobbyist now. So Heath was in Congress.
He went to Washington.
He went to Washington, did a great job. Got gerrymandered. They messed with his district so that he couldn't get reelected. And so he just was like, I'm not dealing with this. So it was a huge problem for us in North Carolina when they started. I don't get into politics, but they started to mess. But he was doing too good of a job, and people didn't like it, and so they messed with his district and got him out. So he, the last I asked him about his work, he was a lobbyist, still going back and forth to Washington, still got a place in Bryson City. Of course, his son, Navy, is going to transfer to Tennessee from App State. And but he's killing it, man. He's the best. People always talk about the NIL thing. I always tell a story about walking through. We had to go get Heath and take him to somewhere. We went through the bookstore in Knoxville, the old UC, the old student center, and every rack was full of 21 jerseys. And I always tell the story about Heath looked around and he goes, this doesn't seem right, does it? And that's why I always go back to with NIL. They should get a piece of that. That doesn't bother me at all. Now, it needs to be regulated.
Yeah.
But I go way back to the day, when it wasn't fair that every kid at the game was wearing a number 15 Carl Pickens jersey, and Carl never saw any of that. Because, he didn't see all of it, but could have seen a little bit of it. So them getting a little piece of that doesn't bother me at all.
I know you're a busy man, so we appreciate the time.
Yeah.
I went for the full 10 minutes and did not call you Marty.
And I appreciate that. My new rule is I hang up. Anybody calls me Marty now, I just hang up. And they're like, are you mad? Well, if you want Marty, I'll give you his number. All right. I'll see y'all. Yeah, thanks.